Casey, congratulations on being inducted in the California Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
You had a great career as a competitor, and what individual had the greatest impact in your wrestling career?
I thought about this a lot, and it would be so hard for me to pick one person that had the greatest impact on my career. So I picked.
Pick a couple.
I have to pick a few. I can't pick just one because it wouldn't be right, So I guess from the beginning, my parents, spent the most time. Most time with me traveling, putting me in events, obviously paying for trips and sending me to wherever I could to hone my craft. We spent a lot of time together as a family. My brother spent a lot of time. My brother Cliff spent a lot of time waking me up in the morning. And we started at 6 in the morning from when I was really young, and then it kind of switched over. I started getting him up a little bit later as I got closer to high school, waking him up at 6 to get me to run and that kind of stuff. And also Coach Corey Solomon made a huge impact on my life, and he's been my coach since I was probably about 4 or 5 years old until I was 18.
Wow.
And
did he recruit you into the sport, or did you?
My dad actually got me into the sport. My brothers had all wrestled, pretty much a family sport. So my dad it was about 3 or 4 years old. My dad threw me in a tournament, and they didn't really have 3 and 4 year olds wrestling back then. So I was wrestling some of the older kids.
That's true. You were right at the very beginning.
I was pretty young. I think it was 8 and unders back then, and I got beat up for a long time. But I loved it from the day I saw it. I loved it, and
Isn't that great?
I still love it. I still watch videotapes, and still coach. So love it.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
What is the most outstanding memory that you have in the sport?
Man, this is
single moment. In time.
The single things are tough. So,
They are.
I guess the single most outstanding thing would probably have to be I think the Midlands Championships in 1996, and I'd won some pretty big tournaments with them, but the Midlands was a big deal. It was an open tournament, and I'd beaten Brandon Slay in the finals, who was a 2000 gold medalist in the Olympics.
Right.
And that was a big win for me.
Yeah.
And I beat a really good guy in the semis, and Brandon had beaten another Olympian in the semis on the other side, so it was really good. I was young, I was 20 years old at the time, and I was a sophomore in college, and it was real big win for me at that time. And I still think back to it, and I think that was just a great moment.
Yeah, that's a good memory.
Yeah, that was a good one for sure.
What made you get started in wrestling? Was it your dad? Or
Well, my older brothers, I have 3 older brothers.
Yeah, they all wrestled.
And they all wrestled. My dad was friends with all these wrestlers when we grew up, and some guys, they might even be in the Hall of Fame now. But I think one of the big or popular wrestlers my dad knew, I think he was an NCAA champion actually. I'm losing the name now, I'm sure he was an NCAA champion, so he's probably in the Hall of Fame in California. But my dad knew him when they went to school together, and my dad was really into wrestling. He knew that it took a lot. He never wrestled himself, and he kind of was like, he was a fan, and he thought that it would take a lot to get out there and do it. So he respected it, and he understood it, and got us in front of some great people.
Right. Yeah. Corey was your first coach?
Corey was my first coach. I would say I was probably, I don't know how old I was. I was, much younger than my sons. I was probably 3, 4, or 5 years old, something like that when I started. Yeah. So.
Thinking back in your career, Casey, is there anything that you would do differently now that you're kind of
You know what? Yeah.
into the competing part
Yeah.
of the athlete,
Yeah.
But,
I probably would have listened to my coaches more. I was a good. I was more of a coach's athlete. I did, but there were some things I didn't listen to them, and mainly more about believing in myself at certain points. And probably would have listened to them a little bit more.
it would have made a difference, you think?
That would have made a huge difference. Yeah. What do I know? My coaches were pretty darn good, and I knew. So for some reason, I thought I knew more than them at that point. So.
Pretty fortunate guy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What would you like people to remember about Casey Strand?
I think I think I'd like people to remember me as a good person. Really, obviously wrestling is a huge part of my life, but I've made so many great friends in this sport. And I just ran into Mark Munoz, who was a competitor. We competed against each other and gave each other a big hug. And I love the guy I love the guy to death. Love the guy's a phenomenal guy. And that's what I really loved about wrestling is I made these kind of friends, even though we were maybe enemies on the mat, but we're lifelong friends. And I think that I'm a good person and a good friend.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
That's a good thing to be known.
Yeah, for sure. sure.
Congratulations
Thank
once
you.
again on being inducted in the California Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Thank you, sir.